We need your support. Click the like buttons below. Now onto the video. Welcome to readtheticker.com. Today we're going to introduce how Elliott Wave technicians can improve their analysis by incorporating Wycoff logic within their work. Now this is an intermediate stage video, so you're expected to understand a little bit of Wycoff logic and Elliott Wave. Just a quick recap. This is a typical Wycoff accumulation pattern. It's broken into phases A, B, C, and D and E. Now it manages the change from supply to demand. The first phase we have supply and overcoming demand until it doesn't, and then demand suddenly overcomes supply, and there may be a climactic event. So that's supply, and incorporates a change of character. High volume, because there's a lot of stock changing hands. And the climactic move, or the bottom, and the automatic reaction sets up the trading range. Because this is where a floor was put in and a bounce was created. So it's the immediate initial trading range. Trading range is very important, understanding demand and supply of support and resistance. And we move into phase B. Phase B is a phase where the supply and demand may be equal, but the beginning part of phase B, supply is dealt with, the remaining supply from the down move. Supply is soaked up, you might get more down waves. This allows demand to buy it on a downswing. That's good cost price averaging. And as the supply dries up, they might have to bid and raise the price because they want to accumulate it. Now the price action might happen near resistance, price action may happen in the middle, or price action may happen near support as phase B goes on. Now phase B, as the most unknown phase, for example, it can last 1 week, it could last 3 years. So whatever goes on here, it determines how well the composite man is in charge and how excited he is in getting the stock to break into markup or break resistance. So whatever happens here gives you a lead on what's going on, leads into phase C and phase D. So phase B is very important, and also it's the graveyard of many losses. Okay. So once phase B is getting near completion, the demand begins to show their hands, and there might be one final move, one final terminal shakeout, or even the volume might dry up to near dull levels, or might build up a tight springboard and break out. So you have three characteristics. You might get a springboard near resistance, you might get some sort of minor shakedown to the middle of the range, some sort of springboard there and break out and break up resistance, or you might get a terminal shakedown right out to support, and even do a bear trap where it breaks support and then reverses back in. And obviously I forgot to mention, during the phase B you might get the odd bull trap where it breaks up above resistance and falls back in. Lots of games going on here, but once they begin to show their hand, the composite man gets ready to move, and they want to get rid of all remaining supply and get it to markup. And once we have the markup going on, there's a change of character, demand takes control, we start getting good widespread breaking resistance, high volume, less volume on the sell-off, and we start moving up. Generally speaking, they want to do this without the public knowing about it, so it's really slow and stealthy. Once we get into the ground, breaking resistance, that's when the media find out about it. So there's a lot of tricks and tips going on in the accumulation. One just has to be aware of what manipulations can happen during a trading range, and that's generally how a composite man builds up a campaign of accumulating stock float from those who are uninformed or weak hands, and it goes into strong hands getting ready for a markup. Let's consider Elliott Wave. Now there's many sites on the web. If you need a quick education on how Elliott Wave is constructed, here's a recommendation. We have no association with the site, never been a member, but it looks quite sturdy knowledge on their education pages. Go to Elliott Wave Forecast, and on this URL here you'll find detailed breakdown on Elliott Wave. The Elliott wave tends to break things into two forms: a motive wave or impulse and a corrective wave. So you've got two chances, either in correction or you're in an impulse. And somehow every single price action fits into that. Now Elliott Wave, the book, laid down about, I think about 6 or 7 rules. You know, wave 4 can't take out wave 1 and different corrective patterns. But none of the rules, those 6 or 7 rules, aren't enough rules for how complex the market are. So there's a lot of would be and could be and should be and what have you when you fit the Elliott Wave. And somehow there's the illusion that Elliott Wave can fit every market move it's involved with. Now, I'm not an Elliott Wave technician. I understand one Elliott Wave. I know enough to be dangerous. But I also understand that the Wycoff logic helps the improvement of the application of Elliott Wave because it brings in volume and supply and demand analysis. But I suggest you go there and learn some of the terminology there, and as we go through the video. Moving on. Right, let's discuss the first pattern of Wycoff accumulation relative to Elliott Wave. And we're going to go through this Wycoff accumulation pattern and showing how Elliott Wave fits into each phase of the accumulation. So we're starting with phase A, or the beginning of phase A over here. Move that to the side. Okay, so we've got a markdown movement within a channel. This can either be an impulse wave of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a very powerful A, B, C, and the C may extend. Well, you might even get a 1, 2, 3 fifth wave failure in here. You get climatic action down here. Right, so this is typical move into an accumulation pattern. It's ideal that an accumulation pattern happens after a period where shorts are in profit and get a chance to cover. And it's also it's better when it's moved at least price actions moved at least 10 to 15, 20%. So it allows the flushing out of weak hands and allows strong hands to build because it attracts attention and attracts the value buyers to buy at a lower level. Because ideally, what you want to see in a Wycoff accumulation pattern is that supply completely flushed out, replaced with demand, with no supply hanging over, so demand can be marked up without being hindered by supply. So in the first down move, we can expect an ABC, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of some sort. That's pretty easy. Moving on. Right. We're now into the reaction phase, late part of phase A, early part of phase B. Here we get, just after some sort of climactic action or a fifth wave down, we get the automatic reaction. It can either be, as it shows in the Elliott Wave, an A, B, C up, or just a straight up, straight, sharp, solid move. The purple lines represent where the Wycoff trading range would begin, because the Wycoff trading range initially starts from whatever the climactic action was, and the automatic reaction ends to give an idea where the trading range might be. Okay, so you might get one swing up with a bit of a pause, another swing up as shorts unwind, or early demand comes in after some sort of climactic action. Bound to be high spread and wide volume, this ABC structure, because people are excited to get in at lower values and they want to whip up all the supply from those who've lost, the weekends. Okay. Now we're going to look at a more complex part of the Wycoff accumulation. This is phase B. Now phase B fits in after a change of character from supply to initial demand. Phase B is the part before, if this is going to mark up and go higher, before the demand takes over. So this is the neutral phase. This is the phase where, if accumulation is truly going on, we're going to see demand start to show its hand. So as I said in the beginning of phase B, you might initial supply may be required some, some sell-offs to get rid of it. Once the supply dries up, those who wish to accumulate might have to start hitting the bid and price goes up. Now you'll have battles at resistance, you may have battles at support. Might be battles in the middle, it could be swinging all over the place. Okay? This is what happens it can happen over time. There may be reluctant supply, not willing to give up their stock, so therefore they might use price action and time to attract those weak hands to release their stock flow. So time and price is the weapon in phase B for those who are informed to try and shake out those who are who have suffered from a drop in price. So therefore phase B can be 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, what have you. So phase B is pretty much the battleground for those who want to accumulate and those who are suffering in pain from the price drop. Okay. So in the Elliott Wave we can see anything from a typical straightforward zigzag, A, B, C down, happen over a period of time. You might see different types of flats, which is just an A, B, C sideways, where the C may or may not break support. You'll get the odd bull trap. You may get bear traps. A bull trap is when price breaks out resistance. Everyone thinks it's a rally and it falls back down. You'll get the bear trap, where it breaks support but recovers. So you get these different type of patterns, and you might even get a triangle in there which bases around the middle of the range. So all these corrective type patterns in Elliott Wave will most likely exist during the phase B process. Now, if the composite man is in control and accumulation is likely to be within, say, 4 to 9, 10, 12 months, it's a better showing that what goes on in phase B is not so complex. What I mean by that is that an ABC might have within it triangles and irregular flats. Elliott Wave can get quite complicated in this period. It can extend in multiple patterns. These patterns can be within each other, right? But if you're getting the more simple the structure within the phase B, the more likely that the composite man is impatient and he wants to accumulate and he knows prices are going to rise soon. So therefore, simple is best, less complex is best. To be able to see the waves of price and volume is best. So the longer it goes on, the more complex it is, you might have to conclude that it's just a lack of interest. Now, accumulation waves are like this. If people are willing to supply volume or float, and the wave is swinging down, the people who wish to accumulate have no trouble buying it on a downswing. They're getting good costing average. But as supply dries up, they're going to have to start hitting the bid. So that means the waves are going to start rising, but they don't want to carry price too far because they don't want to have a breakout. They'll let the rally collapse. So they'll pump it up, 3-5%, and the rally will collapse. And there'll be some sort of consolidation. They'll pump it up again, and the rally collapse. So you might even get a minor high and low and low. But they don't want to do any damage or bring the attention to the public that there's strong accumulation going on. But eventually accumulation, when supply dries up, they have to hit the bid to buy the stuff. Now if there's no action like that, there's no accumulation rallies, that means they're not interested, and eventually price will hover near support and it'll break down, and therefore won't be accumulation. Accumulation rallies will start on the left hand side of the pattern. It'll probably be a downswing because the volume of supply is overcoming demand, but as time goes on in phase B, eventually you're going to have to start in the bids. You're going to see some sort of price action rally. Okay? And once the demand's all done and they're ready to move, the white composite man who's in charge of the demand, he wants to make sure that there's no supply around, and they'll do some sort of terminal shakeout or smash it down, break some sort of critical level, just to see if there's any supply around that's going to come on, because they don't want to move price up if supply is going to smash it down above resistance. They want to make sure any of those who want it to go down, they're going to get them into this pattern here. So they might even do a bear trap, get all the supply in, and quickly smash it up. So all the games go on in phase B into phase C. Elliott Wave will show it in these sort of patterns. And as I said before, the complex patterns should be avoided because it really shows a lack of interest and lack of excitement into the accumulation. The more simple, the better. Right. Moving on. Right. Now we're coming to the end of the accumulation pattern. We're now this part here, phase C and D. So what we have here is we've had a bit of a shakeout, and the composite man's decided, right, supplies dried up. Whoever was short or whoever was trying to, the weekends have been cleared out and have accumulated stock float. They get ready to mark this thing up, and this is where you're starting to see a move. The move may either come from near resistance, some sort of springboard action, like option 2. It may come from support after some terminal shakeout or some springs, like option 1, or it may come from the middle where there's some sort of middle ground where there's some sort of basing pattern, before it moves up. A springboard is the situation where it just pauses just before the move's made. It tightens up. There's a bit of volatility going on, and it just moves. So the Elliott Wave patterns we can expect, obviously we might get the traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even an ABC up. Here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's an ABC, or an ABC up. So an ABC can be quite substantial in moves because the C can just extend. Now when you're using Wyckoff, we use our point and figure forecast logic on our trading range, so the ABC might extend up to the zone where it might consolidate and reverse. You might get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the start of a greater move as an impulse move. But the point and figure forecast based on 3-to-1 odds, the Elliott Wave move may be an ABC or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So once again, this is a change of character because demand is showing its hand. It's overcome supply, and price is starting to break resistance, break the creeks, and move higher. You're going to have higher volume on the upswing, less volume on the downswing. Now it's important we have volume in the right place. If volume is not in the right place, then you must consider that what's going on is not a true change of character, and it may just be still stuck in phase B, and you'll have to reassess your phase C determination to go back to phase B. If phase C does not perform as expected, you reclassify phase C as phase B. Okay, we've just covered the Wycoff accumulation pattern with what type of Elliott Wave patterns can occur during each phase, A, B and C and D of the Wycoff accumulation, what to expect when they fail, when they don't fail, demand and supply. Okay, now we're going to just do some tips of Elliott Wave and Wycoff. Now I think with Elliott Wave, to get better quality understanding, an impulse wave should really be bound by a channel. A 1, 2, 3, 4 move, 5 move, sorry, should be bound by a channel. The reaction in 3 and 4 should mirror in degree the reaction of 1 and 2. I'm not saying it has to be the same pattern, I'm just saying how wide 1 and 2 is, and how wide 3 and 4 should be similar. Okay? Because this means it's an impulse, it's a period of control of moving from point A to point B. If you get irregular points of degree between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, most likely your count is wrong because it's not a true impulse, because they lost control. True impulse waves is where the market is in control, moving it from point A to point B, and the action between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are well controlled. Okay. Tip 2 for Elliott Wave. On an ABC, C's can extend. They can extend for a very long period of time, and they can break into different wave structures. A C can turn into an ABC or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so in a Wycoff, you still can get a profitable move out of a range, even if it's an ABC. Because remember, an Elliott Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern fails when the wave 4 breaks the wave 2. So therefore makes these patterns an ABC, or a corrected pattern. Just to be aware of that. And okay, so Wyckoff tip 1. Trading range matters. The tighter the range between the support and resistance matters. If you've got accumulation going on, you do not want those who've accumulated to unwind or sell to sell their float before the breakout. Now, if you've got a wide trading range and people accumulated down here and price moves up to the wide resistance, the people who've accumulated down here will frustrate the advance by becoming supply up here. Ideally, the tighter the range, the better, because the people will not release their float after accumulating until it's broken out and it's going higher, and they'll hold on for better profits. Here they'll lose confidence. Oh, they made 3 to 5% and they want to get out, so they start selling. Whereas here, they only made 2 or 3 to 4% or whatever, and they'll hold for better gains. So the wider the range, the less confident that that all the accumulation will hold on for better gains. Okay, bird in the hand type story. If you got profits, you take profit. And if you don't, you wait. Wyckoff tip 2 is volume does matter, and it must be in the right place. Volume in the right place tells the chartist or the technician that there's something going on here. It's all about the change of behaviour or change of character, depending on what you fancy. Supply is overcome with demand. Supply dries up. Demand starts to show its hand. Demand takes control, shakes out weak hands or shakes out any final supply. Bear traps, bull traps come in, and it's a change of character, and demand starts taking control and starts to mark up. They want to move up quickly. They want to trap players in, and they do not want to give the public a chance. So they want to get it up, or slowly get it up by stealth. Okay, so volume matters. It has to be in the right place. For example, volume in the wrong place may be you get lots of volume on the downswings as it goes up. So you might have markup. You might have a fast move up to resistance from support in 2 or 3 days, and all this volume up here. That's volume in the wrong place, because what you really want to see is volume on the upswing, slowly accumulating, a stealthy type manner, right? Because that means you're trying to keep prices down so they can accumulate and get a good cost average. Everybody knows they can get price up really quickly to sell. So if you can accumulate down here, pump prices up really quickly, and sell, you make a quick profit, and you've wasted little volume to get price up. So ideally you want to see slow, conservative moves up. Now you may get a sharp, strong move up on incredibly high volume. That is good, but just have to take into account. I encourage you to understand Richard Ney logic and how the professionals use the price and volume to manipulate the public, and you start understanding Wycoff in a truer sense. So volume does matter, and it's got to be in the right places. Otherwise, supplies and maybe accumulation is not really going on. Okay, some conclusions that I like to make. Elliott Wave and Wycoff can work together if you allow Wycoff logic to lead Elliott Wave logic. What that basically means, you're looking for quality accumulations, tight ranges, volume in the right places, and understanding how phase B and Elliott Wave in a simple versus complex manner affects the accumulation. It's typical for an Elliott Wave technician to start counting out every wave and giving 2 or 3 scenarios, which is most likely during what's going on in phase B, because they can't decide what's going on. Normally when price is breaking out or breaking down, they're pretty confident to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or an ABC. But while it's stuck in that Wycoff phase B or that creative patch, the neutral patch of demand and supply, they're always giving all sorts of, it could break out here, could break out there. It's just not practical. You really have to keep a wider view and look at the big patterns. So if you're using Elliott Wave, try and incorporate volumes, effort versus results. If you have a period of accumulation, a period of consolidation of volume, you really want to see the effort for the result. If you don't, something else is going on in the relative demand and supply. So if you've got accumulation going on, lots of volume, and price starts to move up with good volume, and it's not really advancing, the demand may be not demand, it may be supply. Understand the laws of Wycoff. Using cause and effect with the point and figure forecast. It all works. Another point is, I just re-emphasise it, that the phase B of Wycoff accumulations the more complex the Elliott Wave is, the more extended it gets, the more scenario based gets. You really got to ask whether the composite man's in control of accumulating this, and it just may suggest a lack of interest or some significant event may be waiting, which is a long way off. So thanks for watching. Elliott Wave and Wycoff can work together if you allow Elliott Wave to be encompassed by the Wycoff demand and supply battles and the understanding where volume's got to be in the right place. Personally, I can't use Elliott Wave on its own because I can't look at anything without volume. So, but I do understand the Elliott Wave can be present in a clear, well publicised market like Apple or S&P 500. You can see the waves, and they are present in the corrective phases and they are present in the markup phases. But in the end, the Wycoff logic must lead the Elliott Wave logic. But you can work with it together if you understand both. Thanks for watching.